Hello and welcome to another live Wrestling with Johners, part of the Johners podcasting network, of course. Got another fantastic guest with us, as always, just Joe Lando. Joe, how the devil are you, my friend? Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Hello, yeah, I'm good, thanks, man. Thank you for having me.
No, you're very, very welcome. Been looking forward to this one, most definitely. But Joe, before we get cracking with the questions, and I know we've got a few viewers already, and we've already had some listener questions come through for you. But for the next 45 minutes or so, I'll be speaking to Joe Lando. And if you want to get in touch with us and ask Joe any questions, any comments, if you've seen him perform before and want to kind of say what your favourite moments or matches of Joe Lando has been in the past, but just to get in touch and ask Joe any questions, you can do during this live broadcast. Just send us your questions by entering them into your device, whatever you choose to use. But Joe, got to start off by saying, have you had your first wrestling match back? Have you had your return match back since the pandemic started?
I mean, I've had matches since the pandemic has started, but I wouldn't count any of them as my return match.
Right.
I think I'll count my first match back once like regular bookings start going. So at the moment, that's on the 23rd or 4th of July at Target Wrestling up north. So I'm looking forward to that a lot.
Awesome. That's pretty cool. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of your first matches back, and probably just a bit after your Target appearance, will be for Wrestle Carnival on August the 1st, their first show, their debut show, Curtain Call. That's going to be a hell of a show. You must be looking forward to that one, and your match in particular. And I think you were one of the first wrestlers to be announced to perform for Wrestle Carnival when all the promotional stuff started coming out, and you're going to be involved in a high-octane, action-packed, probably show-stealer of a match in a fatal four-way match, and Joe.
Hey, man, you said it. It's the following week from Target, August the 1st at Wrestle Carnival. Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to that match a lot. We've never actually done that match before. It's a first-time match, but like all three of those guys, they're my best friends, so it's going to be a sick match for sure.
Yeah, yourself versus Danny Black, Maverick Mayhew, and Callum Newman. You said that, probably your three best friends in the business.
Legit,
you get on with them really, really well outside of the ring, but you've probably had some pretty cool matches with them inside of the ring over the last 3 or 4 years. What can you tell us about your three opponents over at Wrestle Carnival Curtain Call then, buddy?
Yeah, man. I have worked them all. Danny, I've worked a few times. One of them was actually funny story. We worked at Mega Slam, and the match, someone tweeted afterwards, it was the worst match of that year. So we have that to our name to hype it up. Callum, I've wrestled a few times at WrestleGate, and that's always been sick. Only in tags though. And the four-way actually. That's good as always. I mean, I can't say enough good things about Callum. I hope to work him lots more. And then Mayhew, we worked for ages. I might have even worked him more than anyone. He's definitely up there. I've tagged with him too. But we've literally worked in every single combination of match apart from a singles match. We've never had a singles. So yeah, yet another four-way, not a singles, but hopefully we'll get that soon.
Yeah, and you mentioned WrestleGate Pro. Of course, we're kind of alluding to Gary Ward, the promoter of Wrestle Carnival, and he's been kind of batting for you since day one, hasn't he? Really, and he kind of gave you, some pretty good matches for WrestleGate Pro, and then of course one of the first wrestlers to be announced for Wrestle Carnival. Tell us about kind of how you kind of got to know Gary Ward and got on his shows, basically.
I can't remember how I actually got to know him. I guess just by word of mouth, he knew about me. And he booked me in 2018 for the WrestleGate show, which took place in 2019. And since then, he's been a massive support of mine. I can't thank him enough for giving me an opportunity on this show.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, if I haven't mentioned it enough, on my Facebook page, on my social medias, the John's Podcasting Network is one of the main sponsors of Wrestle Carnival's first 2 shows, including Curtain Call on August the 1st. So that's going to be pretty cool to be up there and to see you guys in the flesh and to say hi to you as well. We've got one person that's got in touch already. We've just mentioned him actually, but Callum's got in touch to say that, there we go. Much love there from Callum. let's talk about your aerial offense, because that's what you're known for then, Joe. You've been described as, I think you've probably even described yourself as the best high flyer in the country. I'm sure I've heard you say that before. But tell us about some of your amazing aerial offense, including the now infamous or famous shooting star elbow. But tell us about the creative process that you go through when coming up with some of your really, really cool and innovative offense. We'll talk about your wrestling ring in a minute, but kind of, do you kind of come up with these moves, in your sleep, or when do you kind of think of these moves and the variations of these moves that you come up with?
Probably most of them in the shower.
Right.
That's where all good ideas come from.
That's where I do my thinking. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. No, sometimes I just get out there and it's just what I'm feeling. Just like having access to a ring, like, I mean, whenever I want, realistically, although the weather doesn't let me do that. But it's just random ideas can come to mind when you're in there. Just, the feel of the ring, the ropes, how you feel on the ropes and everything. Like, random ideas can come. I had a mate round last weekend and I done a moonsault twist into a cutter, and it just comes because I've been on my own for so long in that ring, obviously throughout lockdown, that when there's another person there, it opens up all these other ideas. So yeah, I mean, a lot of my ideas are just sporadic and random.
Yeah. And tell us about the shooting star elbow then, because that's really, really innovative, and I think a lot of people have raved about that since you first broke that move out. And when I first saw it, I had to kind of watch it over and over again. But tell us about that, because that can't be an easy move to pull off to start off with. When did you first come up with the idea of doing that move? Did you have a few unsuccessful attempts to start off with, and kind of, tell us about the origins of that move then, Joe?
I can't remember how it came about. I mean, I think it might have just been one of them ones where I was on the trampoline just dicking about with stuff. There's more moves I have that I just do on the trampoline that I haven't yet done off the top. That was one of them. I think I'd done it in in the ring, just on like a teddy bear or something, and I posted it to Instagram. And then the next show I had, one of the wrestlers on that show, Blake it was, who actually works quite close with Wrestle Carnival, he brought up the Instagram clip and he's like, you're doing this on the show. Like, I had no plans to do it, I just done it because I could. So he forced me to do it. And the first time I'd done it, it was on that day, it was on that show. It was against LT Mercer, and I squished him. I absolutely killed him, man. Tragic for him, but
I'm sure you've perfected it a bit more since then.
Now I'm safe with it now. But I done that, and it kind of like, because I didn't really want to do it anyway, I just felt pressured that day. I done that, killed him, and I was like, I don't really want to do it again.
I bet it looked pretty cool nonetheless.
Yeah, it was more of like a shooting star hip attack type thing. But, and then it was like, it took me over a year to do it again.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And actually, it was my first match back since breaking my arm. So I broke my arm, had surgery on it. They were like 6 to 8 months out. I came back in 2 months. And in the first match back, I brought that move back, and because I didn't want to do a normal shooting star and land on my forearms. So I was like, if I twist and do the elbow, my broken arm will be fine.
You're protecting yourself, yeah.
Exactly. And then I landed that safely, and then from then on out it's stuck.
It will be remiss of me not to mention your very own wrestling ring. Now, I'm sure you're the envy of pretty much 99% of wrestlers up and down the country. But you've got a wrestling ring in your own back garden. Tell us about it, because I can't imagine they're easy to come by or very cheap to pay for. But how did you come across your wrestling ring?
Damn, I don't know, actually. I mean, it's no like strange. Well, I mean, it's not common, but like, it's no strange thing for people within like the UK indies to have rings in their garden. Like, there's quite a few that do. And I used to watch a lot of backyard wrestling, and they had rings in their garden. A lot of them were like self-built, which I pondered over for a long time, but I'm
Right.
far too lazy and inexperienced for that. But yeah, no, I have really cool parents. They let me get it. And yeah, I mean, the rest is history. I've had it for like almost 4 years now, and it's stayed outside the whole time. I think we've unpacked it and reset it up like once. We've only taped the ropes like once since the day we got it, so like it's lasted really well. We got it from Wrestling Rings UK, so shout out them.
That's really, really cool. And I'm guessing it's out there in all weathers, and you do the usual maintenance, I'm guessing. But you're in it most days, aren't you? I mean, you're very fortunate to have your own wrestling ring. I'm guessing you use it and you practice in it most days. But how has it helped you develop as a performer, as a kind of a wrestler in your own right? How would you say that it's kind of helped you as opposed to going to a normal training school?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, I actually haven't. I mean, it's bad I'm saying this, but I don't care. I haven't actually trained at a school for like, I think 3 years now. I mean, I've still been getting bookings when they were about and stuff. And again, a lot of people probably hate me for that, but it's the way I am. I prefer training on my own there. I mean, obviously, it's helped me loads, especially throughout lockdown, because I mean, no one's been able to release wrestling content. Yeah, I've had plenty to release, so I've kind of grown more over lockdown than before, actually, which was a rare thing for people to say. But yeah, like it just helps me feel more confident in the moves I do. Because I hate feeling like I'm an unsafe worker. I mean, like I said, the first time I done the shooting star elbow, I didn't do it for like a whole year after because I didn't like how I landed on the guy, and I don't want to gain that reputation. So it really helps just like perfecting stuff and making sure I can land stuff safely for both myself and who I'm in the ring with.
Yeah, and you said in some of your video clips you do have somebody there, a friend helping you. Are they a wrestler? Do they kind of get involved in the action with yourself in the ring?
Yeah, I had last weekend Josh Spicer,
Right.
who's
Yeah.
he is a wrestler. Yeah, I think he's doing some stuff at Elevation at the moment, or when it comes back. And then obviously I've had the usuals like Danny Black, Maverick, Mayhew, Callum. I had Nino around El Nino a couple weeks back as well. So
That's
all
pretty cool.
wrestlers.
That's really, really awesome. And I'm just kind of curious. You obviously live in say a street neighbours? Do you have neighbours kind of like peeping over their garden fence what's going on, or hanging out their windows, kind of watching you practice and doing all these aerial moves? Do you ever get any spectators while you're practicing?
Probably not as much as you think. A lot of them kind of just pretend I'm not there, which is quite funny. But recently we've noticed that like because I thought I was going crazy at first, but then I've had people around and they've said the same thing, that there's like a house that way, and there's like a girl at the window with her phone out, and like the second you look up, she like hides and puts it away. But apart from that, no, not really. They kind of just turn a blind eye.
There
Don't
can't
really
be
care.
many wrestling fans in your street. Then can't be many
No,
wrestling
not
fans.
at all. They hate me, man.
But when you're not kind of recording yourself doing your aerial offense and practicing your moves, you must be kind of practicing the basic techniques and kind of with whoever's over there, locking up and grappling and perfecting other aspects of your work. Then, Joe.
Again, probably not as much as you think. I like to practice what I'm good at, what my style is. So my style isn't necessarily technical wrestling, although I mean it has its place. I would love to be able to get better at it, but it's not my thing. Like I want to focus on what's going to get me noticed more, what I'm good at, and that is the high flying stuff. So yeah, I probably don't practice that as much as I should.
Yeah. Just talking about, I mean, it's clear through our conversation already that you're an elite kind of aerial artist, high flyer, whatever you want to call it. But do you have like a sporting background, any sort of like athletic background? Because even in some of your video clips, you can see you doing, standing moonsaults, standing somersaults, and landing on your feet perfectly, and all sorts of gymnastic type moves. Have you got a sporting or an athletic background?
No, man.
Well, how have you developed the technique? It's kind of flawless almost.
I really don't know. I mean, like apart from wrestling, to toot my own horn a bit, I'm crap at all other sports. Like I'm so bad. Like I'm reasonably athletic, like as you can tell, but like at sports, just putting sports into practice, I cannot do. Obviously, apart from wrestling, if you will. I mean, when I was 11, which is when I started watching wrestling, I also started trying to replicate like the high flying stuff on the trampoline. Again, I've never been to gymnastics. Like I never really watched tutorials or anything. I just broke it down. I used to play it on the TV in slow motion, and then I'd record it on my phone in slow motion. So it was like super slow motion, and I'll just watch like every single detail, like about arm placement in the air when they're spinning and stuff, and foot placement, and I'd really break it down, and I'll just try and replicate that over and over again until I got it. So yeah, I mean, I taught myself. Yeah.
That's it. I was going to say you're completely self-taught. I mean, not only do you kind of train yourself in your back garden, but all the flips and all the kind of gymnastic type maneuvers are just basically from watching the TV and watching things in slow motion. That's staggering. That's absolutely fantastic. And like I say, if you've checked Joe out on any of his socials and checked any of his clips out, you'll see how naturally athletic he is. And it's incredible. When I've spoken to guys natural high flyers, they've had some sort of gymnastics or sporting background, and to think that you're completely self-taught is absolutely phenomenal. You mentioned earlier about the first time you attempted the shooting star elbow didn't quite go to plan. Have you had any other kind of mishaps or disasters, possibly when practicing a new move, where they just haven't quite gone well?
Yeah. Actually, there was one last week, as I say, when Josh Spicer was round. We had like this grappling dummy thing to practice like a tag move on. And he was holding it on his knees as if he had just given it a code breaker.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna do a shooting star senton, so like an over rotated shooting star press.
Yeah.
And we kind of like guesstimated where I'd land, so we put the mats there. But I completely flipped over and missed like everything. I hit like one of the mats and just crack, and it went all down my spine into my neck and stuff. And then I know there was when I was trying the red arrow off top. For some reason I keep going off center with it. I just completely missed the mats and just again smack bang in my ring, and that's not a nice bump in my ring. Hence the fact I always have the mats out. So there's been stuff like that. There's been on shows as well where I've gone to hit something off top or middle, and I've just like completely flown over and missed the guy. So aim isn't always my best bit, but I'm working on it, man.
Practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. You mentioned about the broken arm, the kind of more serious injury that kept you out for. We should have kept you out for longer, but you was only out for a couple of months. You said, how did that occur?
Real embarrassing. It was actually in a match.
I was going to say, was it actually anything to do with wrestling? I should have started with that.
It was in a match in front of a crowd, which, I mean, it would have been cool if I got like some sick arm submission and it actually snapped it, or I got slammed down. But no, I jumped up for a springboard. One of my feet slipped, and then I came down like nose diving. So I put my forearms out to protect myself.
Yeah.
One of them like landed perfectly, and then on the left arm, it like my palm planted and stuck, but the bone was still moving, so it just forced the tension, forced it to snap. So yeah. And then
for any of my viewers a little bit queasy at the moment, they're kind of with Joe retelling that story. I do apologise, but it sounds like a nasty injury. But you've covered it up with a pretty neat tattoo. Is it a Fish Boi?
I have, yeah.
Show
It's
us.
awkward to show.
No,
There,
that's cool. That is yeah, like I say, pretty sick tattoo, covers up a nasty scar.
it is can't tell a thing now.
No, that's really, really awesome. It brings us to our first question from a listener viewer, somebody you probably know fairly well. Taylor James got in touch and he asks, can you ask Joe when he's planning to do some yarding shows? So backyard wrestling, yarding shows. You kind of alluded to it with having some of your wrestling pals over and practicing in the ring. First of all, kind of answer his question, but any plans on doing, have you had any thoughts or any aspirations to do any proper backyard wrestling shows?
Yeah, man, for the longest time. And I think one of the last podcasts I came on, I said like, yeah, it's happening. Still nothing has. Again, I'm still in the mindset of I want it to happen.
Now the weather's turning good, Joe. It'd be a good time to do it during the summer.
I know the weather's sick. And it's just finding a date where all the boys can get down and do it. But I know the people I want for it. It will just be like a one match thing that I'm thinking, just a big scramble, so we can do all our moves, shake off some ring rust, get it filmed with no pressure, of course. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to give like a date on it or a month.
Don't give any spoilers or yeah.
But sometime this summer.
That'd be really awesome, and no doubt that will probably appear on your social pages with the odd video clip or two. That would be really, really good for sure. But thank you very much, Taylor, for getting in touch. And like I said, I've had Taylor James on the show twice, as a matter of fact. Really, really awesome dude. Inspirations, like I say, I mean, clearly a high flyer, one of the best in the business, the best in the UK. We've already established that. But where do you draw your inspiration from then, Joe? Because I'm guessing you've been a wrestling fan for a long time. Was it kind of watching certain wrestlers growing up? Or wrestlers that you're kind of in touch with on the scene now? Where do you get your kind of inspiration as a wrestler and as a performer from?
No, I think it's good you mentioned that wrestlers I'm in touch with on the scene right now, because probably like right now or for the past few years I have been drawing inspiration from like people around me, or like, you know, other independent wrestlers. They may not know me, but like yeah, no, I think that's really motivating and inspiring to see like other flyers like that. But from the start, I remember Kofi Kingston being my like first favorite wrestler. Obviously, he was a high flyer, so that's probably where it came from initially.
Yeah.
But no, apart from that, man, like I was a big Daniel Bryan fan because he was always like a smaller guy. Not necessarily his style of wrestling is what inspired me, but just his size. So definitely him. He was a big one. But yeah, man, just like any flyers that are popping on the scene. So I know there was Osprey, Everett, Amazing Red was a big one as well. I've gone back and watched all his stuff, and then lots of backyard wrestlers as well, because there's some mind-blowing things in backyard that I haven't seen in pro. So I do draw some inspiration from that too.
Yeah, that's really, really awesome. And I mean, leading nicely onto my next question, but I think that with the kind of the talk of yourself on the scene and the moves that people are seeing on your social media and in matches, you're becoming a bit of a benchmark yourself and a bit of a standard setter for how aerial or high flying is going to be in the future. Do you see yourself as a bit of a trendsetter, especially with the innovative offense that you're creating, and you know, and all the cool moves that you're kind of coming up with on a very, very regular basis? Do you see yourself one day as being kind of the standard, as being the benchmark for high flying?
No, not at all.
Because you're doing moves that other people are not doing at the moment, and that's pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, technically, but no, I don't know. Probably not. I'll just another one to get lost in the shuffle, perhaps.
No chance of that. Absolutely no chance. But you've wrestled for numerous promotions around the UK. But even at such a young age, you've had the opportunity to wrestle outside of the UK as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
A couple of countries. Tell us about some of the countries you've wrestled in, some of the experiences you've had, and any cool stories you've had along the way.
Well, all the cool international stories come from Italy, and they're all responsible from one man, and that man is the greatest, TG. He's an icon, Italian legend. Yeah, I've wrestled in Italy quite a few times. Wrestled in France once, which was all right. It was a weird show. It was like in the middle of a street somewhere. There was kind of like a carnival going on. Really bizarre.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, I was meant to wrestle in Germany twice last year, but they both got cancelled, obviously because of the pandemic. So I'm really bummed about that. But apart from that, it's just France and Italy. Italy's amazing. All the workers out there are amazing. They've got a really good scene. Just a really good vibe as well. Like the crowd they have is just electric, really. And I've said it plenty of times before, but yeah, I mean the crowd is amazing because they're quite, I guess, deprived from frequent wrestling shows or frequent live wrestling shows. So when they do get a chance to see live wrestling, they're just electric, and
they really embrace it and get into it.
Yeah, for sure. And as I mentioned, TG, he also owns a promotion out in Italy, and he's one of the wrestlers, and he's crazy, man. He's crazy. He always he looks after us, to be fair. He always gets us a Maki and takes us to Lucky Star, which is a karaoke bar in Italy, and he's just an enigma.
Sounds awesome. And like I say, the Italian fans, I've heard that they're, really, really kind of into their wrestling, and like I say, don't get to see enough of it. And when it is there, they really, really embrace it. But we've got a comment from an Amber. Sees you as the next Tyson Kidd. I can see a lot of comparisons there for sure. But obviously, Amber is a big fan of yours. But your style, it kind of lends itself perfectly to many different countries around the world. We've spoken about Italy and France, not quite getting the opportunity with Germany, but I'm sure that will happen. But I can see you fitting in really, really well in promotions, maybe in the US, Japan, Mexico, certainly with your high flying style. Are there any kind of bucket list countries, any countries on your bucket list, or maybe even promotions that you'd like to work for that you think your style would suit perfectly in?
I always feel bad saying promotions because I know I would have missed out one. Or if one books me, they'll be like, "Hey, you didn't mention us this one time." But, no, for sure, the US is like just my top goal at the moment. Is like my priority in wrestling to get out over there. Don't care who it's for. Yeah, but the US for sure. I really want to work out there. I mean, if I am gonna name some promotions, I mean, there's loads, man. Freelance is a cool one in Chicago. And GCW is probably the main one I want to work for out there.
A lot of people say that, when I have.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll fit in well there. So,
yeah, no, that's really, really cool. And Japan, Mexico, obviously Mexico, you got the luchas over there. It's all about high flying and dives over there. And like I say, I think that the Japanese crowds would really appreciate your style. Any aspirations to go out as far as the Far East or maybe Mexico?
I mean, I've never really thought about it too much. I mean, of course, if I was offered that opportunity, like I would take it in a heartbeat,
Absolutely.
But as I say, my main priority is to get over to America. Once I've done that, and I've got the confidence, the high off that, then who knows? Like I might start setting my sights towards Japan or Mexico. But yeah, it's all about the States for me at the moment. That's where I want to be.
That's really, really cool. And Amber gets in touch again, saying that she'd love to see you in New Japan. That would be pretty cool.
I mean, again,
Super Juniors.
Yeah, I mean, if I was offered New Japan, like, of course I'd do it, dude. Like,
unbelievable, yeah. That'd be really, really cool. Got another question from one of your fans on Facebook,
Oh
Jess
yeah,
Pip J,
Joe.
asked Joe Lando, who do you want to wrestle when you get back into the wrestling scene over the next few weeks, few months? Obviously, we spoke about that 4-way at Wrestle Carnival. You got a show at the back end of July, but anybody kind of the UK scene that you'd like to get in the ring with, say before the end of the year, maybe?
I know. I don't actually know. I'll wrestle, anyone and everyone, but I don't think there's anyone that springs to mind. I mean, yeah, I
Well,
really
what
don't
about
know.
Lycos Kid 2? I think Lycos Kid 2 is doing some amazing stuff on the UK scene. Both of you two similar style of wrestlers, kind of high-flying, acrobatic. That would be a pretty cool match.
That is true. Yeah. Again, anyone and everyone. So if you throw a name, I'm most likely gonna want to work him. But yeah, definitely Kid Lycos too, and actually Kid Lycos himself. That's been a goal of mine for the longest time.
Yeah.
And a goal of his too. Actually, he put out a list a couple months back of talent he wants to work, and my name was right at the bottom, but it was on the list.
Oh, well, there you go. As long as you're on the list, that's the most important thing. And another question from Michael Jolly. Michael asks, do you have any dream opponents? So back into the realm of kind of, but you can kind of fantasy book here, anybody around the world. So we're not just on the UK scene, but do you have any dream opponents?
I mean, I mentioned him earlier, Amazing Red. He would be a big one for me, just because we're both similar in size and style. Like, that's like my dream match, I'd say. I mean, there's probably like loads I'm gonna forget anyway, but like, I don't know, man. If we're doing like fantasy booking, then like I mentioned before, Daniel Bryan, love to work him, and CM Punk as well. He was like my ultimate favorite growing up. So
yeah.
It would be a weird match, but yeah, CM Punk, man.
I'm sure I've heard you mentioned Sin Cara before as well.
Oh yeah,
he's a favourite of yours, and that would be a pretty cool match. He's been a bit of an inspiration of yours, I believe.
He has been, yeah. No, that's funny you bring that up. Because again, when I started watching in like 2011, it was like him and Kofi Kingston were like the only high flyers. Because I think Evan Bourne just got banned for like a weed suspension or something like that. So yeah, Sin Cara, why not throw him in there?
Yeah, absolutely. We're kind of drawing to the end of my set of questions, Joe. But one of the last questions I've got for you is what's been the most fun that you've had in a wrestling match or in a wrestling ring, or maybe some of your most enjoyable matches that you've been involved in? I'm guessing there's been some really, really fun matches that you've had over the last 4 years.
Damn, that's
what's the most fun you've had in a wrestling match, would you say?
I don't know, man.
Favorite match, maybe. Let's narrow it down to
again. That's another one. I don't know. Probably most like fun I've had a match. I remember there was one time which I can't actually remember the match. Probably for the better reasons. Where I had a laughing fit in the match. Like I genuinely couldn't control myself. I don't know what I'd done or someone done to make me laugh that much. But yeah, that's the only time I've not that I have in character, but like I'm at least focused. That was the one time I completely just broke down and started laughing. And then stuff with Mayhew, really, when we do our tags, when we tagged out in Italy, that was fun because. Yeah, I mean, he makes me laugh, more than anyone. So, especially when we're tagging, it's always a fun time. So probably something with Mayhew. And then favorite match, I wrestled the Hunter brothers as a little flex. I've never seen the footage, never got the footage back, but I just remember thinking, like when I got back after the match, when I got back through the curtain. Like I was like, fuck, like that was sick. Like that was sick, man. And I don't really have that about matches a lot, which is why it was one
that really stands out.
Yeah, it really stood out. It was one of the times where like I was like, you know what, I can wrestle. Like I just felt really good after that match. So yeah, probably that.
That's really interesting that you say that, because a lot of wrestlers kind of have this light bulb moment or kind of match that makes them kind of think, yeah, I get it now. I understand it. And, now I'm starting to enjoy it. And it's not just going through the moves, but I'm starting to enjoy it now. And but that's really, really cool. And as we kind of draw to a close, what's kind of the evolution of Joe Lando then? I mean, obviously you've been working hard since your last proper match in front of fans. Wrestle Carnival is going to be one of your first matches back, August the 1st, curtain call, of course. But have you got any kind of any new moves in your back pocket that you're looking to hit the fans with on August the 1st? You don't need to kind of let anything out of the bag if you don't want to, but any moves that you've been working on that you might surprise them with?
Everything I do is pretty much new. Well, everything I've done within the last year has been learned, during lockdown.
That's really interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and it's fresh stuff. Like, I mean, literally, like, I don't know, 90% of the stuff I now do is like would have been learned during lockdown. But yeah, in terms of like, development of Joe Lando, again, I said I'm very focused to get into the States. That's my real goal. I want to put as much effort as I can in the indies here, which will hopefully get me noticed enough so some promoter will take a chance on me and book me out in the States. And yeah, that's really where I want to go. That's the direction I want to head.
Yeah, well, I'm sure, like I say, hard work, perseverance will get you there. But everything I've seen, I think you've had a very successful 3 or 4 years in the business already, and it's only upwards from here. But I can't wait to see you and the other guys involved in that kind of 4-way Wrestle Carnival on August the 1st. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. The whole show is going to be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
Can't wait to see what happens there. But Joe, before we let you go, an opportunity to throw out to my listeners and viewers your socials. If a way we can reach out to you on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you've got a Twitch or a YouTube or any merch you want to plug, my friend, the floor is yours.
Wicked. All right. So it's at Just Joe Lando on everything. That is JUST at the start. YouTube, I don't know what that is. YouTube.com/something. Try Just Joe Lando.
Just search Joe Lando, yeah.
Yeah, just search Joe Lando Wrestling. Yeah, dude, that's about it. No merch I want to plug or anything. Yeah, that's it.
No, that's cool. But Joe, it's been a pleasure. It's been awesome speaking to you over the last 40 minutes or so. But thank you so much for coming on the Wrestling with Jonas podcast, my friend.
Yeah, thank you for having me, mate.
Yeah, take care.